So what I'm going to do this week is I'm just going to jump into the races in Ashes of Creation. Now you've got 9 playable races in Ashes of Creation. There are 5 primary races and 4 of the primary races are going to be split down into 2 sub-races. So the first race we have is the Aela. Now the Aela are basically just humans. They're split into 2 sub-races. So the Aela are going to be split down into a race called, a sub-race I should say, called the Kaivek and the Pyrian. The next one is Dunzenkell. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but I'm just going to stick with dwarves for now. Now they're split into 2 races, which is the Dunzenkell and the Nakua. Then you've got the Kaivek. So the Kaivek are orcs. They're split into 2 races, the Renke and the Vek, which leads us to the Pyrian elves. So they're split into 2 races, which is the Empyrean and the Pyrian. Then you've got the Tulnar. Now the Tulnar we haven't seen much in the concept. We did have on the wiki. Steven's now confirmed that they're going in like a slightly different direction or a totally different direction, so I don't know what these are going to be like, but the Tulnar are said to be beastly, reptilian, humanoid races, and the minute, like, that's the one that's really got my eye and that I'm really interested in. So to get a bit deeper into them, what I'll do is I'll jump right into the humanoid, so the Aela. Now if you're going to pick the Kaivek, you know, one of the subcategories, they're all about building and order and civilization. That's their founding principles, so they're real conquerors. Their empire in the old world spanned the largest of all the empires, and they plan to do the same in Vera. They're extremely loyal to their roots, and they'll rise to any challenge, so really think like Alexander the Great style people, real conquerors and really want to achieve greatness. Then you've got the Pyrian. Now the Pyrian are a slightly different subspecies. They're about trading and law and order and hardship. The Pyrian were forged in the heat of the desert and through the ages became a blade that bends but doesn't break, and through the development of a complex web of relationships and savvy negotiations, the Pyrian have grew into one of the wealthiest empires in Sanctus. But despite having few natural resources to exploit themselves, their environment has taught them what it means to kill or be killed, whether through the beasts of the desert or the snakes in the market square. So you've got to think like desert outback people, but I think it's really cool, and I think it's something that a lot of folk who are more into the lore are going to stick with and maybe get amongst. So the Kaivek are based on a European racial influence, so if you're looking to be more European, then obviously you want to pick the Kaivek. The Pyrian have a Middle Eastern racial influence, so if you're looking for that, then you want to pick the Pyrian. So you have the Dunzenkell. Now the Dunzenkell are the dwarves, and they have 2 subcategories, and I'll jump into the Dunzenkell first. Personally, I won't be using this race, I can't see myself playing it, but you know, never say never. But what they are is they're traditionalists and they like to forge stuff. Most of the people from the old world would see a mountain and think nothing of it, but they say the Dunzer saw it as a defensible home where riches are abound and built up a mega little city civilization there. The Dunzer take immense pride in what they craft and what they build, so they build awesome fortifications that are impregnable, warhammers that never break, or beautiful gems for the royalty and all their repertoire. Don't be deceived by their stout stature though, they are pound for pound the strongest warriors the world has ever known. So you've got these little beasts, you know, these little tanks that I personally believe this is probably gonna, their racial buff is probably gonna be something to do with crafting from the sounds of that little description there. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some type of buff there or some type of little incentive to pick them if you wanted to be a crafter full time. If you are gonna be a Dunzenkell, the female Dunzenkell are allowed to have beards, but they will not be identical to the males. Their beards will be more braided. So if you're into having a female character that has a beard, Intrepid has you covered, and I personally don't think that's bad at all. I think it's pretty cool and adds a little bit more customization to the race there for you all. Now jumping on to the Nakua, they are a lot different. They're about family and they're about freedom and courage and getting out into the world and exploring. But the Dunzenkell saw the mountains as a home, you know, a real fortress to build into secure, but the Nakua saw it as a prison. How could they complete the great hunt from inside a cave? Don't get me wrong though, from what it sounds like is, you know, the Nakua are still awesome at crafting, as well as wanting to explore. They really are good crafters, highly skilled artisans, but instead of jewellery for the nobles, the Nakua see crafting as a rite of passage and an advancement of their family. So from what I'm getting here is, regardless of the Dunzenkell or the Nakua, I feel like, I could be wrong, so you know, you'll have to let me know and you can give me some shit for it down the line. I do feel like this race's passive buff or racial buff will be something to do with crafting. It kind of, I'm getting that vibe off them, and I think both races are really cool. But what I will say is, one thing that could sway you back towards the Dunzenkell is the Nakua are intended not to be, you know, your traditional fantasy based dwarves. They're going to be a lot different, and also they are going to be kind of like halflings, and also the smallest race in Ashes of Creation. So if you're looking for a half-sized, you know, standard fantasy dwarf style and that vibe, maybe go towards the Dunzenkell. But if you're looking for something that's a lot different and a lot smaller, the Nakua are probably going to fit you a little bit better. So just to finish it up as well, the Dunzenkell are going to be of Nordic cultural influence. So if you're thinking like Viking or the Last Kingdom TV shows or all that type of Nordic look, which I think is really cool, and I'm into. Regardless of me probably not using this race, I do think it's nice to see the diversity they're using. And then the Nakua are going to be Polynesian influence. So you can see between these races, they're trying to make it vast and so diverse. And then if you add in the character creator, this world and these races and the things we can create is so unique. It's really going to be cool for everyone to have their own personal tailored character, and a lot of other games I don't really feel offer what Intrepid is doing. It's pretty ridiculous. So we're going to get into the Orcs now, or the Kaivek. They are a lot different. Like between the Renke and the Vek, I think it's the diversity there is just pretty awesome to see that they're really going out on a limb there. Now the Renke are all about honour and power and tranquility, and through staying centered, their power only grows. The Renke believe in ultimate focus and control and their immense power. When a Renke becomes enraged though, there aren't many men or beasts who can live to tell the tale. The developers have said that the Renke might possibly have a Dragonborn lineage or some Dragonborn ancestry, which is really cool, and I want to see how that plays out in the lore and how or where they go with this. Now the Renke are large and a muscular race, the tallest race in the game, considerably taller than their human counterparts. Additionally, they are able to select a red or green tint to their skin during character creation, and I honestly think the difference between the red and green tint and even the way the muscles are and the models of these races is just awesome. And the Renke, I'm going to be honest, between the Renke and Vek, that as it stands, I really feel these are one of the races I might actually pick depending on what the Tolnar turns out to be like. Now jumping into the Vek, they are really celestial beings. They have purpose, fate, and believe in destiny. And it's said when one stargazes, they find beauty lies beyond our world. When the Vek stargazes, they find fate lies beyond our time. Star maps, numerology, and prophecy are an integral part of each Vek's life. Great leaders read the heavens for how wars will go, which empires will rise and fall, and the Vek often ask themselves, are we too late? So what I think that's saying is they are so intelligent and so far ahead. They see the future of the war, they see the future of civilizations, and then they see past that, almost to the end of civilization. They are highly intelligent beings and they look really cool. I can't fault them on that. When they dropped this and I seen it, I was like, wow, the difference here is night and day. These two different orcs are just incredible, to be honest. It's really cool what they're doing. And at this minute, I really don't know which one I'm going to pick, but what do you think? Do you agree with me, or do you think they could have went a different direction here? So, the Pyrian elves, now they have two subraces as well. You've got the Empyrean and the Pyrian. The Empyrean elves are all about pride and culture and honour, and though they're not as numerous as the Kael are, the Empyreans are a force to be reckoned with, elite military forces and highly skilled structured government. The people of the Empyrean surely have a plan to carve their place in the world of Veda. So what I'm getting from that is these are the gymnastic guys, so think Legolas in Lord of the Rings, really skilled fighters, and maybe they'll have some type of stamina or agility buff or speed, something along them lines, some maneuverability effect that they could potentially have. Now I'm just picking away at things here, and this could be totally wrong, but I feel like if they were to get a passive buff, it would be about agility or speed or movement or some type of buff in that direction. And the Empyreans have a Greek or Roman imperialistic feel and a vibe about them. So the Pyre are about nature and balance and fury. All things come to balance in time, and nature always has her way. Don't let their love for nature fool you though. The Pyre rarely take prisoners. Whether by bow or spear, the Pyre's legacy will take root. And the Pyre have a Navajo Native American influence. The final race, which is the Tulnar, and we don't know a lot about it. All we know is it's a bestial, reptilian, humanoid race, one that really has me intrigued, and I'm probably going to end up picking this if I'm honest. Now the Tulnar is a combination of 4 major races and many minor races that were left behind on Vera after the apocalypse. That's what gives them the attributes that are bestial or reptilian, or a mix of them, and a humanoid vibe as well. Tulnar stands for the Forgotten. The Tulnar religion is a combination of religious beliefs of major races as well as pagan beliefs of the minor races that evolved over time, and they coexisted together in the Underrealm. Now being British, I'm all into paganism and I watch a lot of shows and a lot of crazy stuff, so for me that vibe and that history, the lore there, that really draws me in, and it's something I'm really keen to check out, and I honestly can't wait for them to drop this race. And I do think it's going to be unique. I don't think we'll have seen it on many MMOs, and I think they're going to do that smart, intrepid, you know, Steven inspired potentially twist to it, something that's totally different, and that's kind of what I'm wanting. We want something different, something fresh that isn't just pulled and plucked out of another game, something they've created, and it is nice and unique, and could be the poster race for Ashes of Creation where people look and think, shit, I never seen something like that, and that really draws more folk in. So to end the video on some final notes, races will allow you to augment your primary archetype skill sets, and if you play as a summoner, the race you pick will affect your summons, so it could potentially be different creatures, definitely different styles. That's cool as fuck, and I'm really looking forward to seeing that. And I have a few summoners in our guild, so it's definitely something that I didn't really know a lot about, and I can imagine they're looking forward to it, and something that we can talk about and discuss how it's going to play out, and I'd like to see more on that in future streams. The architecture in a node will be determined by the races that have put the most effort into developing the node. Now, I've already spoke about that in previous videos, and I'll pop that up top now, and I'll pop it in the description below if you want to check out more about the nodes and how that'll work. There will be a mount that is unique to every race. Now that is really cool, like unique mounts per race, like different mounts. That's just, yet again, it's just giving us more variety and more choice and freedom and more difference with people within the game, and these things are really gonna affect how guilds grow and how guilds play in my eyes. And that comes nicely onto the next point, and then I'll go back there. Each race has different base stats, and races are not gender or class locked. Some classes may work better within certain races, but nothing is enforced. Now, going back to affecting guilds, if your guild, and some guilds are based fully on one race and one set type of subcategory within a race, and they're saying this is what we're going to stick to. Now, if you have a lot of players seeing these different mounts that these different races have, and one of these races particular has a really cool mount, that might be just enough to sway folk in that other direction, which could massively affect your guild. And not just that, when you talk about classes are going to work better, could potentially work better with certain races combining these buffs, you know there's going to be the meta warriors out there, or the PvPers, the hardcore PvPers that will use this to their advantage, and some people might decide, you know what, I'm not 100% certain on this race that I've picked now, like I want to mix it up and I want to change out. So I think that's cool, brings a lot of diversity to the game, and in my honest opinion, I'm not like one for making videos just particularly on lore and races, and I haven't stemmed into that, but just, you know, the effort Intrepid's putting in and the shit they're doing with this game, it's like every little thing that you maybe don't feel like you should take note of the most, it really does affect the game. Now, you can have lore on a character, you can have lore on a race, in many games there is, but it doesn't do anything, it doesn't really change the game in a lot of these MMOs. But this shit that they're doing here does, it will affect the game, it will change the way the game plays, and it will change your appearance massively. And you know, it's really individual how you see this. Maybe you think it's not a big deal, but for me, I personally think it is. And you know, I can only say Intrepid, I'm not trying to be a hype warrior for them, but look at what they're doing, man. It really is next gen, and it really is above any other MMO I'm seeing out there. That's just my personal opinion, but if they keep going in the direction they are with some of the stuff they're doing, they really are lining themselves up to be one of the biggest MMOs about, in my opinion. I haven't put everything I wanted to in this video, and I wish I could put more and more information, but the videos would go on forever, as this is a longer one than I actually expected. But I'm hoping you've learned something again and you've kind of got more motivated and you're kind of just sticking in there, and as folk are saying, it's copium till, you know, Alpha 2 drops and keeps us going. Personally, I'm looking forward to all the races, and, you know, what do you think? Anything in the video that intrigues you? Is there a specific race you're going to be going for? Is there something that I've said that you don't think it'll work out that way? Is maybe these passive abilities, you have another idea on them? Or are the races not what you wanted? And do you have opinions on what the Tulnar could potentially look like, or any ideas? I would appreciate that if you just drop it in the comment section and get some talks going, and, you know, I always reply to them, and I really do appreciate you watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.